as we know, George Eliot's kind of crap. That's my starting point. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell
But
you,
Middlemarch.
yeah, people do like Middlemarch for some reason that I will never figure out. This we reviewed Middlemarch and it was not good, but this was decisively worse to the point where we have to ask,
Oh,
do we send it yeah, 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 or do we send it down the gutter? Well, I've gone to my local builder's merchant and I have bought some piping to make an extra long gutter. So there we go. So I loved it. No, I didn't. So
you liked the last quarter.
yes, this book was 600 pages. If it wasn't for so I have to give
The
spoilers
first
because
450.
yeah, exactly. The last 150 events started to occur, which was fantastic, and I really enjoyed it. But I had to read over 400 pages of drivel to get there, and that was rough going. So the book's called Adam Bede. It's about a chap called Adam Bede. He has a brother, Seth, their old mum, Lisbeth, and their pops. So we don't really meet the dad. We just hear he's working on a coffin. That's his job. He's a coffin builder. He might appear briefly in the early scenes, but very, very early in the book, he dies. He's an alcoholic. Yeah, they're always complaining. You know, he doesn't do his work properly anymore. He forgets to do the jobs he's meant to do. Adam sits up late at night doing his job for him after coming home from his own job. He's a farmer or something. And then what happens is the father just falls over in the street drunk and like drowns in a puddle, basically. So the dad is dead. And the mum insists that Adam make the coffin, although Adam wants Seth to help. So Adam is basically the best guy. Like that's the mum, Seth, everyone, the whole time. They're just like, good guy, Adam Bede. What a great guy. It's quite sickening. Like
Yeah.
they really hammer it home. And the mum's like, you're the best person. You should make your dad's coffin. And he's like, no, no, my poor brother is just as important. We should do it together. Like he's trying to hit
Hmm.
every virtuous note he can. And he's consistently like that throughout the whole book. I know that we're really, really meant to like him. I find it really, really difficult to like him.
It's hard to like perfect.
It
Yeah.
is really hard to like perfect. Yeah.
But then there's no way to improve your character as well. Like that's what every like Disney remake gets wrong. They
Yeah.
make every main character perfect. And it's like, well, so they don't have a story arc. Cool.
Well,
You missed the point of,
by the
well,
standards,
storytelling.
yeah, by the standards of the morality of the day, he is perfect. Although, we're going to talk about this in a minute, I think by today's standards, he's actually quite toxic in some ways. He's
Hmm.
presented as being perfect. It's just with the modern morality, I don't think he is, okay? So Seth has a girl called Dinah that he really likes, but she wants to like go off and be a missionary or something. So she tells him no, and then they just decide, oh, so Dinah's not interested in ever marrying anyone because she said no to Seth. So fair enough. But Adam also has a girl he likes, a Hetty. The problem is, Adam and Hetty, they seem to have an understanding, maybe a bit of a loose courtship. Um, but Adam has a friend called Arthur who begins to court Hetty also with no honorable intentions. He's not planning on marrying her. Okay. So what happens is Adam gets really possessive about it. I mean, I guess in the morality of the book, he's defending her honor. He's saying like, "You scoundrel, you cad, I catch you kissing my girl," which first of all is an insult to me as your best friend, and secondly is an insult to the girl because you have no plans to like make good on your advances and you have no plans to marry her. But
Hmm.
Hetty really, really has fallen in love with Arthur, not Adam. So Adam is annoyed about this, and they make Arthur go away. They just make him leave. Even though he becomes the local landowner, he agrees to go off in the war anyway, and then just get out of their way as a gesture of goodwill. But the one redeeming part in Adam's character in this entire book is when he shows some passion and fights Arthur. I actually really liked that because it was the first time he did anything that wasn't perfect, you know? He beats him up, and then, of course, he helps him up and tends to his wounds afterwards because
Hmm.
because he's a good
Because he's a
guy,
good
Adam,
guy.
you know.
Yeah.
But they come to a kind of agreement. Arthur writes a letter to Hetty, which is supposed to say, let's break it all off, but actually says the opposite. It says, I love you, but we can't be together, blah, blah, blah. So then Hetty, and she's really not a good person, she's like, well, guess I'll just marry Adam then, because what else am I meant to do? So she lets her family plan the whole wedding. She's going to move in with him. And the mother, Elizabeth, is like, oh, my son should never go with any woman. She's not going to keep the house properly. What's she going to do with my crockery and my silverware? Oh, she's going to make such a mess of my perfect house that I've kept. My son should just stay with me forever. This kind of like overbearing mother. So they agree, well, I guess the mother's going to have to live with this so she can supervise the new wife.
Women. This is written by a woman, though.
Surprisingly, this is written by a woman. So, right before the wedding, Hetty realizes, I don't want to marry Adam. So, instead of telling him, she just runs away. She says, I'm going to visit Dinah, who's gone off to Snowfield, and just runs away. And
Hmm.
then, so what I've told you is the summary of the first 450 pages, basically. Those are the events that happen, but just interspersed with long sections of nothing. Just long sections of like, Adam's a good guy. Let's all do some laboring work. Like it's not very interesting. Um, Lots of stuff about Middlemarch has a lot of stuff about the local doctor. Everyone's obsessed with the local doctor. In the beginning of this book, they're all obsessed with the clergy. They even mentioned, which shocked me, that the churches would have Protestant and Catholic sections in the same church rather than having to build a second church. I've never seen that before.
I mean, if this town is small enough, you got 200 people,
I
it's just like
guess.
you might as well. Like we we're all gonna have to see each other in the streets anyway, so let's just get along here too.
We'll see each other in the streets, but not in heaven. So, um,
Yeah, I've never heard of that either though.
so that's that's my impression of like most of the book. A couple things happen, but not that much. But Hetty runs away, and this is where it gets good because it becomes a Dickens. It's like her tramping around through the countryside, and it starts to rain, and she's got no food, and she's calling at a house for help, and it's this kind of picaresque, depressive kind of thing. And then I'm like, oh, this is, and it's starting to win me over. Like I'm really liking it now. This is the best part of the book. And you do feel sorry for her at that point because she's not a bad person. Like she's kind of being convinced to marry someone that she's not interested in. All she had to do was say, I'm not interested in you, but she leaves him and runs away, and no one knows what's happened, and they all think she's lost, and they all go after her, and really she causes, a lot of commotion. But she goes to find Arthur, who's of course not there because he's gone to war. So she's just then left and abandoned. Um, there's weird lines, and again, weird to be written by a woman, where they're like, well, there's only one difference between love and smallpox, and that is that one involves bewitchment, you know? So
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
the only difference between them, of course. And the worst part about this book, I showed you a sample of this. They speak in this terrible dialect the whole time. It's like, and ye likest to me. It's like, I can't read this. I can't read it like this. And they all speak in this kind of English farmer dialect, which makes it very difficult to get through. Um, I did not like that. In fact, I hated that. But then things pick up at the end of the book, and actually it's quite well done. We see a couple of scenes from Hetty's point of view. We see her running through a field. She's in the rain. I've told you she's out and about. And these people are saying, like, oh, you're a wild woman. What are you doing running through the fields? You're going to get a bad reputation. Right? Because
Yeah, just
staying
running through the fields.
outside.
See, this is what Theresa May was talking about.
She did run through a field of wheat in her younger days.
She said that that was the most like
The most
what was
rule
it?
breaking, kind of the most, rebellious thing
Yeah,
she'd done or something.
that's what it was. Yeah.
So
There you
then
go.
she also stays in an inn, and they start to get suspicious of her. And then something amazing happens. So you see the scenes from Hetty's point of view, and she's kind of barter some jewelry with them or something. Then the perspective flips, and you see that the narrator has been unreliable, and Hetty has done things she's not told us just in this last quarter. And before that, there's nothing. So then we find out of nowhere, like it's almost as if they just started a new book. They're just like, so what has become of Hetty? And they're like, well, she's on trial for murdering her baby. And it's like, wait, what? And Adam's like, well, she didn't have a baby. So I guess, having never mentioned it, Arthur didn't just kiss her, but presumably impregnated her and has now gone away.
Hmm.
And that was never mentioned. Then it's like, cool. Did she kill the baby? Like, I didn't believe it. I was like, surely not. What's going on? But then they replay the scenes. when she leaves the inn and she's bartering the things, she's got blood. And they think that then they heard her screaming in the night and they think she gave birth to a baby and kind of shuffled out the door with it the next morning. And the reason the guy thought she was running frantically through the field is because she buried the baby there.
Ah, yeah.
So that's amazing storytelling. It was written very, very well this last quarter. And yep, she gets executed. And that's that.
Hmm.
Then, might as well just spoil the other last detail. Arthur and Adam make up, and Adam's like, you know what? Dinah wouldn't marry Seth, but maybe she'll marry me. And he marries his brother's ex.
Good for Adam.
He's good guy Adam. So,
I
I
feel
mean,
like
that's
that
a
last part has very little to do with Adam, though.
right. So the last part's all about Hetty. Like I swear, the last part was just added later.
Yeah,
Like
it's like I don't know how to do this Adam stuff anymore.
yeah,
Like
it's like
Adam is nothing, and then Hetty actually gets the story.
yeah, it's like well, 450 pages where nothing's really happened, and the editor's just like, right, can we have a plot? Like something sensationalist in the last 150 pages. Let's write a novella here, you know? And then they just do a story. Adam really does nothing in it other than Miss Hetty, I guess, you know?
So start from page like 400, and
Yeah, it's Hetty's story that's good. Most of this book is just nothing happening with Adam, you know? Eventually the mother becomes more submissive at the very end, which I suppose is supposed to be good. I'm not convinced that it is. And again, Adam being so good, like some neighboring captain invites them for dinner, and he's like, "You, Adam, you come up and dine with me at the big table." And he's like, "I can't dine with you whilst my poor mother and brother are downstairs. Like they might think that I think they're commoners and I'm above them. No, like we all stick together." Good guy Adam, just at every sickening turn, you know.
wait, does that mean I shouldn't have sat in business class on the way back from Venice?
No, that I was actually happy for you, but look, Adam's not that great. And this is what I want to ask you about. The whole point of this book is that Arthur is the bad guy, and Adam is like, well, I have an understanding with Hetty, and here comes this, rakish young chap to flirt with her or whatever. And he's like, you have no intentions of marrying her. But it's very clear that Hetty actually prefers Arthur.
Yeah,
And so Adam's very controlling and possessive and toxic. And he's not married to her.
I probably had to have read it to see that, but then
Yeah.
I'm not going to read it,
No,
so
God, please do not.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't
Yes.
recommend it, but yeah, it's just
It's not even that you wouldn't recommend it, it's that you would recommend not to read it.
specifically, yeah.
That's very rare with books. Yeah.
Yeah, I just find it weird because they very little is Hetty's happiness considered, And Adam does try. Like he thinks he's doing the right thing, He thinks that she loves him. He's not trying to be a bad guy. Of course, he's a good guy, Adam. I just don't love in the morality of the day, we're supposed to be like, well, Adam's the good guy. There he is, possessively controlling this woman he likes. I'm not too keen on that. Then it gets a bit religious near the end. Dinah's like, oh, Hetty, I've come to see you in your cell, but can you see who else is here with us? God. It's like, oh, okay. There we
Here we go
go.
again. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I
That's
think
enough
really
about this book.
that's all I have to say about it. Yeah, I don't really recommend it, but if you really for some reason care about the last 100 pages, work away.